Hurley in the morning.
Get ready for this, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be something. Ernest Coursey, I think I said this to him last night, he should take a victory lap because what he accomplished over 2 different cycles that it took, they couldn't get it done in 7.5 hours. It took a whole second gathering of the Atlantic County Democratic Convention and 4 total ballots for the chosen one to actually get enough votes to be chosen. Because Jim Whalen and Vince Mazzeo orchestrated it that Ernest Coursey was not going to be that second candidate. It's very foolish on their part, and believe me, I understand that I'm registered with the other political party, but I also speak the truth. If you're just being political, they did a great favor for the opposition by not picking Coursey. He's a stronger candidate, much more well-known. He would drive even more votes district-wide. He would drive even more votes, if you're being parochial, out of Atlantic City and Pleasantville. Already it's a gubernatorial election year, so the turnout in Atlantic City and Pleasantville is going to be big, second only to a presidential election year. Coursey was from Central Casting, a winner at the county level 2 times in a row. And these dopes pick somebody that literally, I'm telling you, it took me like a month to be able to remember this guy's name, and I always can't recall it, even still. Joining us now is Atlantic County Freeholder Ernest Coursey, who confirmed to me last night, and we're going to talk a lot about things in general, and I do have an important question for him after the first break that I do not want any of you to miss. We're going to put the Freeholder on the spot because there's something that has to be said, and I'm going to say it. I've confirmed it from 3 sources, including Coursey, and I'm going to confirm it on air this morning. But that's a little bit later in the interview. But what Coursey did last night to narrowly be defeated on the 4th ballot with every single institutional trick and anything they could do to make sure, any arms that could be twisted, to make sure that Coursey would not get that second spot, took place over 2 different gatherings. And the Freeholder joins us now. Freeholder Coursey, welcome back to Hurley in the Morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Little tired, but, normally 8:30 is my bedtime, so we had to run a little long distance last night. So,
But you're an Atlantic City Viking. You're an Atlantic City high school grad like me, and we're long distance by nature, by trade. So you can handle it. Let me ask you right up front. Give us your take on the process of 2 different gatherings of the Atlantic County Democratic Committee Party Convention, and how well you really did when you think about it. I mean, I know they say if you don't win, you don't, call it a victory or anything. But I think when you were up against what you were up against, for them to need 4 complete separate ballots to defeat you, I think you have every reason to be very happy with how you performed.
Harry, first of all, thanks again for taking my call. But more importantly, I want to commend all those folks who did come out again last night in that nasty weather to cast their votes, whether it was for me or against me, and in terms of being involved in the process. I mean, 170 people were eligible. I believe 156 voted. And I still like the way I landed. Would you like to have gotten it? Of course. But going into it, I knew what I was up against, knew who I was up against, and that at the end of the day, it speaks volumes because here it is, heretofore, I don't recall that the Democrats has ever had to go this distance to pick candidates for office. I think what was exciting about it all was you have so many people who were willing to serve, to put themselves out there to represent the people of Atlantic County. And so from this point, we move on. And what happens is that I realize, Harry, and we've talked about this, I realize what I'm up against. I'm up against the big money. I'm up against the so-called power boys. But what I'm attempting to do is to break up this all-boy network, to stop where you see they're doing wrong. It's not a party of inclusion. That's for sure. It does not intend to have women, minorities on the top of the ticket. They have no intent on supporting us. even if you're on the lower part of the ticket. In terms of the freeholder races, they'll tell you they on the ticket, but let's see how much efforts they put into supporting those women that's running for the freeholder. I'm probably one of the few, and I give a lot of this credit to the late Harold Mose and Walter Collette, who groomed me as an 18-year-old who got involved in politics kind of early. Believe in what you believe in and fight for it. And so I never at one time quivered or wanted to change my mind in terms of moving forward. Going into the convention, I knew what I was up against, but I liked it, my odds, my chances. The audacity, Harry, for them to tell me to skip the convention because you're going to run in June anyway. And so it'll make our lives a lot better if you're not at the convention. Like I said before, I had no intent on skipping the convention, so they couldn't use that to say he didn't even come to the convention. He could have won, but he didn't come. I said, I'm not going to do a Joe McDevitt and not show up. And so I went. I still got 55 votes out of the anointed person. They won. Harry and people.
Ernest, I actually think you got 67 votes, not 55. You got 67.
Last night I got 68. I was talking about last Sunday.
I got you. Okay. Go ahead.
But I wanted to say this, and I think it's appropriate and it's the right thing to do. I want to commend John Armato. I have no animosity against the gentleman. I met him on this campaign trail, and he's been nothing but a gentleman to me since I met him. He won, and it is what it is. I told him last night, congratulations, and I'll see him in June in the primary. And my beef is not with him. My problem is with the Atlantic County Democratic Party, where there is not any diversity. There's not inclusion. They continue to count on people for their support and votes. They always lean on women to help for whatever in the campaign, but they're not good enough to run for public office. They're not good enough to be interviewed to get an opportunity to run. And so, again, Harry, I'm right where I was going to be anyway, running in the primary. I wish I could have got the nomination last night. It didn't happen. But, again, to come out 4 times, basically 4 votes, and still come in the number 2 spot, up against what I was against, Senator Whalen, Vince Mazzeo, the Colin Bell, and all of them other worlds who already have their agenda, what they're going to do or project to do. And listen, I've got my own campaign to run. I made it very clear. The first nasty, negative campaign or comment they make about me is going to be on and popping.
I'm going to ask my question now and not hold it till after the break because of what you just brought up, Freeholder Coursey. You talked about it's a very fair point. It's a very accurate point. The lack of diversity. And the Democratic Party, to be fair, is the party at the national level, the state level, the county, the local levels, always talking about their strong record, on diversity and the importance of diversity, the importance of a ticket that looks like America, and all these buzz phrases that sound great, in theory, but if you don't honor them in practice, then you're dishonest about it. Not you, but I'm talking about your party. And on this occasion, I'm speaking about the Atlantic County Democratic Party because they do lack diversity on the legislative ticket. And I'm going to just throw this at you, Mr. Freeholder. I have 2 corroborations. I actually have a third. I'm not going to reveal the third corroboration, but it happened last night in the 9 o'clock hour before I went to bed. I have it with absolute impeccable sources that State Senator Jim Whalen said that an African-American cannot win on the district ticket, on the and I'm talking about LD2, the legislative district ticket. I'm going to repeat that State Senator Jim Whalen said that an African-American cannot win. Can you say yes or no to that statement?
Let me preference before I answer that. I had a conversation with Senator Whalen, and I indicated to Senator Whalen my intent to run. And his comment basically was, be honest with you, Freeholder, heretofore, African American has not been able to win an assembly seat. And I said to him, well, yeah, but they were your 4 people who you ran on your ticket that was unable to win. I said, I believe that at the end of the day, I would be able to get crossover votes. And so, again, I'm putting myself out there and I'm going to run. I said, but more important, Senator, I said, let's go down the list of people who ran on your ticket, and then we will draw that scenario. So I went I said, all due respect, Senator, you had Damon Tanner, who ran twice, who did outstanding. In my personal opinion, he came out better at the end of the day than being in the assembly.
He did.
You had Reverend Floyd, you had Blondell Spellman, and you had Diana Fauntleroy. I said, you ran all of them. None of them won, but you won every race. I said, one of them should have won running on your ticket, and I think Damon probably came the closest to winning in an assembly seat the second go around. But again, I think he wound up at the end of the day being in a better position. So the question is, did Senator Whalen have this conversation? We had it. I broached it because the issue came up about Brenda Brathwaite, who ran for Freeholder twice. And there was some in the Democratic Party who said we cannot have another disaster after Brenda Brathwaite ran 2 times and could not win as African American. And I took exception to that. My beef was that, damn, if you support it.
Well, let me ask you this, Freeholder. Was it a disaster when Colin Bell didn't win for the Assembly? Was that a disaster? I want to throw that out there for you and everybody to understand, because I'm going to say it. You don't have to. I'm going to say it. You're not on that ticket because you're African American. I'm saying it. You're probably not going to say that, but you did say that the state senator did say that an African American can't win. And you're not on the ticket, and yet you're much more well-known. You have a tremendous career as council president, councilman before that, 2-term freeholder, former deputy mayor of Atlantic City, name recognition well beyond that of the person they went to every length to pick. And I find it very interesting that if Diana Fauntleroy were to lose, it's a disaster. Colin Bell finished 3rd and lost, and yet he's on the top of the ticket. I have to now process all of this before my head explodes. An African-American losing is a disaster. Colin Bell losing means you get to be the state Senate, top of the ticket, regular Democrat-endorsed candidate, and you can't dispute that, Freeholder.
I have no intent on disputing that because the truth will certainly come out, and you're right, it leads right to it. Unfortunately for me, or fortunate, depends on how you look at it, I've never been the favorite in the Atlantic County Democratic Party from the door. I've always taken them on when I thought it was injustice. Going back as far as when Joe Ginhart was the chairman of the Democratic Party, and I took him on for not having minorities on the ticket. And at that time, Harry, I worked for U.S. Senator Robert Torricelli, and made them so upset. They called Torch on me, and we had a meeting. And I told the Torch I'd resign before I allowed them to dictate to me what I can and cannot say. And that, of course, the Torch, that being Senator Torricelli, would not accept my resignation. So my history with the county parties go back a long time.
Let me get the break in real quick. You're on a roll. You'll get to continue. We're going to go until the top of the hour with Atlantic County Freeholder Ernest Coursey. If you go to my Facebook page, you will see my post. We broke it first in the market. I didn't see any other coverage until 9:30 about this. We had it at 8:30. We had multiple sources, well-placed, right at the scene, right as it was happening. And I reported the following, that Buena Vista Township Committeeman John Armato defeated Freeholder Ernest Coursey for the 2nd Democratic Assembly nomination in District 2. It took 4 ballots for Armato to prevail. I don't ever remember that being the case. I think it took 3 ballots for Vince Palestina to then take John Risley out, who had been earlier in the 2nd spot in earlier ballots, to get to the 2nd Assembly nomination. I've never seen 4. And Coursey confirmed to me last night, we're going to be talking about it further after the break, that he is running in the Tuesday, June 6th, 2017 primary election against Assemblyman Vince Mazzeo and Armato. And I really believe there is an excellent chance that Coursey either is going to defeat Mazzeo or Armato, because the Democrats may take a look and say that we're not even going to wait till November for Vince Mazzeo to lose. We're going to take care of this in June. And Coursey's actually doing us a favor. I'm speaking as though I'm a Democrat, doing us a favor by running because we can get this out of the way now. And then the ticket will be the ticket. Remember now, they didn't want Coursey to be the freeholder either. And he smoked them. in a June primary 4 years ago or so. And then he won a little less than a year ago, a second term. One of the important things of this morning, and I confirmed this last night, and we have just reconfirmed it here this morning, that State Senator Jim Whalen made the statement about an African-American not being able to win. And that is a racist statement. I am putting that around his neck like a tire in Haiti, and I'm setting it on fire. I'm going to do a press release that I'm going to release to all my contacts statewide, and Whalen is going to be exposed here. Coursey will do whatever he does. Well, no, he didn't say. Say, do whatever you will do, Coursey. I'm doing what I'm doing because I heard what I heard. And if you think about it, anybody, what was the deal with, like, Armato is the guy? Where did that come from? Think about it. Where did it come from? Even if you want to say, well, look what the Republicans did. No. I promise you, if Risley had wanted to run for the assembly, he'd be one of the two guys. If Vince Palestina and some of the other senior members had wanted to run, they would have gotten the nomination. The two, and they're not new, they are elected officials, both of them. One is, one was. It's not the same thing. When you have somebody like Coursey with his pedigree, and you're just going crazy to try to make sure he doesn't get it, I'm telling you the reason. The reason is that he's an African-American, and Whalen said so when he said an African-American can't win. Well, if an African-American can't win and Coursey's not the nominee, is it a stretch to say, hey, what's the deal? He's already proven he can win. He already proved he can beat you. He's already defeated you in a June primary, and you didn't pick him again. And Whalen said what he said. And I want to hear Jim Whalen with his, quite frankly, I said that an African-American hasn't won, but that didn't mean that doesn't mean an African-American can't win. I just meant that an African-American hasn't won. Yeah, good luck, Jim. Good luck. As Ricky Ricardo would say, starting, 7:48 a.m., you're going to have a lot of splaining to do.